This is Your Other Brothers Podcast.
Living in the borderland. I don't feel like a boy, I don't feel like a man. Help me, holy Jesus, won't you show me how to live? I got monsters at my table, I got Bibles bent like shields. Help me, holy Lord, I see the light of heaven's porch, but so many of us are formed here outside your chain link fence. Yeah, living in the borderland.
Welcome home, friends, to Your Other Brothers Podcast. We are a community navigating faith, sexuality, and masculinity together. My name is Tom, coming at you from the Jewel of the Blue Ridge of Asheville, North Carolina. And joining me today, my same two brothers from last episode, from the other side of the state, the city of Oaks of Raleigh. It's my other brother, Ryan.
Hello, Tom. Hello, everyone. So good to see your beautiful face, Tom, and to hear your beautiful voice.
Ooh.
And you, Matt.
Foreshadowing. Beautiful foreshadowing. And, lest we forget, the city of Queens. It's our other brother, Matt.
Hi, everyone.
That's Charlotte. Queen Charlotte, North Carolina. We are so glad to be back. I was just joking with the guys. I can't believe we're doing this again. It feels like we just did this, which we did just do this, but in relationship to 2.5 years of no podcast, it's kind of crazy that we're back in the swing of things with these hopefully monthly YOBcasts for now. Really fun, really cool to be back with you all. I'm going to jump right into it because we got an action-packed episode here today. We're talking about masculine beauty. So I'm excited to talk with these beautiful guys as well. But looking back on the episode it was so fun to me. Like, we recorded this episode and just getting back in the swing of things. I had the jitters. I was a little nervous. And it was Matt's first YOBcast. And I was pretty sure Matt would do fine. I wasn't like nervous for Matt. I was just nervous for the whole flow of it, doing this whole thing again. But what was really enjoyable for me as like a producer of this podcast was posting it. As soon as I posted it, like getting live feedback, a couple people, one in particular was like, almost like live streaming his thoughts, like commenting on our Discord, our private membership server, and just like commenting thoughts about about the episode. And it was so fun. Like, I love getting to get feedback for the episode again because we got so much good feedback. We didn't get to read it all, but we read a bunch of it on our last episode as we talked about our relationships with women. And I think for sure the one that stands out to me, I don't know if it stands out to y'all as well, but it was this guy in our community. We love him. And he shared his story about rollerblading in the garage to Zoe Girl, to which Matt very succinctly commented that this person was too gay for this community.
And we have now kicked him out.
And like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, let that be a lesson to everyone.
Well, what was funny was like there was that element of that story and then the immediate reaction. And then there was the reaction to the reaction, because then he commented on the episode saying, quote, "Where do I submit my YOB resignation?" And just to clear the air, I wanted to bring him on now. So joining us from the Jewel of the Hills of San Diego, California, it's our rollerblading diva, Daniel.
Hello.
No way.
What? We let him stay?
I am here to speak for the trees. The trees being the gays that you want to cut out of here, Matt.
I'm sorry. If I had known it was you.
This is a surprise. This is a surprise to Matt and Ryan. I wanted to bring Daniel on for 5 or 10 minutes and just we just went over your feedback about rollerblading. Tell us about rollerblading to Zoe Girl. What a time. Can you just give us a glimpse of that life?
Of course. Yeah. Just your average, Midwestern South Dakotan boy hanging out with his siblings. We're bored. We take our CD player, those things you used to carry around, we'd go into the garage, we'd plug in the CD player, and then we'd pick from our one of 3 Zoe Girl CDs that we had on hand.
Whoa, you had a variety pack.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then we usually just rollerblade around our garage. We had a finished, polished, like concrete cement garage. And yeah, it was a grand old time. Me and my sisters, our friends. It got a little, there were like support beams, Have you ever seen those in like unfinished basements or garages? I think that's where it gets a little controversial because
they weren't cushioned or anything. They were just hard metal or whatever.
We sometimes use those support beams as a dance.
As what?
As a like a dance accessory.
A pole for dancing. Yeah.
A pole for dancing. Yes. So to
really amplify the masculinity of this memory. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But no, we got to pick our songs. We got to pick my personal favorite is Stop Right There by Zoe Girl. You know, a song about stopping temptation. Stop right there. Suddenly temptation's flying everywhere. And you think you got me down. Well, think again. You're not my friend. It's plain to see. I'm not your property. It's very like, this is my no square, you know? So we're dancing to like good Christian purity.
That's formational. Yeah.
Yeah, very much
basically
so.
Catechisms.
Yes, Zoe Girl, my catechism.
Catechized by Zoe Girl. Now, to like help me form a fuller picture, this is choreographed rollerblading. Free
expression, you know, very much like how the spirit moves. Yes,
I love it. Mm-hmm.
How the spirit moves. Well, it delighted me. We got so much good feedback. You are the model comment feedback, Daniel, because I want like specifics. Like you could have just said rollerblading to pop music or Christian pop music or Christian or CCM or whatever. You could have been very generic with the kind of music you were listening to. But the fact that you named the band Zoe Girl, I mean, it was just great. It was just so precious. What a great memory. And it was one of my favorite,
fearlessly,
one of my favorite feedback we've ever gotten. And then I was just commenting before I brought you in as a surprise that I really loved. I don't feel any pressure to do this every single time, but I loved like your live, almost like a live stream response to listening to the episode and commenting on what was happening as you're listening to it after it came out. Because then that's when you then commented about where do I submit my YOB resignation letter. But Matt, I want to go to you. Do you think he can stay? Do you think we can keep him?
Well, I didn't know. Honestly, I had no idea it was Daniel, and I really love Daniel, so I have to retract my statement. But I have to this moment. I would like to say I have no idea what Zoe Girl is. Isn't that wild?
Oh my gosh!
Do you guys know? Ryan, do you know what we're talking about?
I'll be honest, I'm familiar, but I couldn't like conjure a Zoe Girl song in my head.
If I can paint the picture for you, Matt, have you heard of Destiny's Child?
Yes.
So imagine you're Christian and you can't listen to secular music.
Oh.
You need a substitute. Like that's what's missing in the Christian world is a Destiny's Child substitute. And that's where Zoe Girl steps in and says, we're here for you.
Daniel, please tell me you listened to Plus One. You know Plus One?
I do not.
No? Oh my gosh. So Plus One.
That's the boy band,
I was going
right?
to say, that was like the NSYNC, the Christian NSYNC or Backstreet Boys Plus One. Check them out.
Ryan pipes up and speaks up when you start talking.
Oh yeah.
Ryan knows Plus One.
We need to resurrect the Christian boy band.
Seriously. Yeah. What is up with that?
I didn't know they had died.
Let's get a bunch. Plus One. There's at least one. Yeah. Unless you throw in Phillips, Craig, and Dean. I don't know if they're a boy band.
They're great.
You're just you're the elder millennial, Matt. This was beyond your generation. We're all millennials, but this was like another step.
We had Adventures in Odyssey was all I got. Then.
There you go.
So I mean, I almost turned out straight, but the time this Zoe thing came along, you didn't have a prayer between that and the basement poles or the garage poles.
The rollerbladed dancing poles, yeah.
I just have to say, I'm so glad that you retracted your statement, Matt, because I had a whole argument prepared. Like the vision statement on your other family says sexual minorities, not just surviving, but thriving. And here you are, a representative of the board, and you're trying to cut us out. So thank you for retracting your statement. I feel as the minority of a minority, the too gay to belong, that I feel accepted. And so I so appreciate your willingness to be humble and admit fault in this scenario. So thank you.
And not just a representative of the board, but the chair, the very top of the board.
Yeah. So
saying that people don't belong here. Get out of here.
Right. Constantly trying to kick out. But some people just take it so far. And like I said, I'm a geriatric millennial, so some of this stuff is hard for me,
Bless your heart.
But speaking of the specifics, he didn't just say skating. He didn't just say pop music. He said Zoe Girl. He didn't just say skating. He said rollerblading. Vivid descriptions. I hope we get more of that in the future from Daniel.
Oh, I'm sure. There's comment. I never name the name. I name the names if I get permission. And Daniel obviously gave me permission by coming on to this episode to defend himself and surprise everyone. But I'm sure his comments will pop up later in this episode because he gave some feedback on this episode on masculine beauty. So I won't name him when they get read, but you will probably recognize it, Daniel. Before you go, Daniel, and I appreciate your taking the time. We actually wanted to record this episode a few days ago. We had some technical snafus. So Daniel was waiting in the wings, ready to come on 2 days ago. And then we rescheduled this for today. And I'm so delighted that he was able to pop in for a few minutes. But Daniel, you don't know this. I also wanted to bring you on to affirm you because we have a new jingle with Your Other Family's podcast network. It appears if everyone listens to the very, 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 very end of each of these episodes, both Your Other Brothers and Your Other Sisters, and soon to be Your Other Family podcasts as well. You'll hear this nifty little jingle that Daniel was very instrumental in originating. He gave like Daniel, do you just want to share real quick, like what is the origin story for our musical nerds out there? Because I didn't understand any of it, but I'm sure there are people out there who will understand what you're about to say.
Yeah, of course. No, another musician in the yob sphere and we were, he percolated this idea because he's a true music historian. I dabble, so I've heard of this idea, but when he threw it out there, back in the Baroque eras and early classical Western music, there was big, I would kind of like parallel it to like medieval art, a lot of symbolism, right? Like every image is a symbol of something that means something. And so they try to do the same thing in music where they're like, how can we make symbols out of these notes? So then they started assigning alphabet letters to every pitch class. So like every note that you hear is associated with a letter. And then one famous guy, Bach, maybe you've heard of him, Johann Sebastian. He specifically would write a lot of songs and he'd write his name into it. So he would use the letters to put his name in or other things like that. And so when our other Yob friend mentioned this, he's like, oh, why don't we just spell Yob using the alphabet? And he threw it out there as an idea. And then, of course, you get to mess around with that. I think it's like a third, a fifth, and a one or a root in a specific key. So then, I take that and I was like, oh, this is easy enough. Why don't we just, move some things around, pick a key that's like pertinent. So we chose the key of D flat. We had to technically change the alphabet a little bit, but because some of the alphabets don't account for some of these letter variations. So anyways, all that to say, we picked a key that it worked in. We made it so that it was a cascading inverted triad, for those of you that know what that is.
Love those.
The inverted triads. Yes.
Listening for those, yeah.
So we got to use the Y to be kind of the starting pitch. And then we added some ornamentations, classical Baroque stylings to get us moving down towards the third, leaving us unresolved. And that's where we get a pitch that Your Other Family. And then the chord resolves. So such a beautiful
it's like a big
little
sigh,
moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little sigh at the end. Yeah. So you gave my my audio engineer, whatever his title is, like you gave a lot of awesome feedback. So you sent me this awesome audio file with yourself playing the keyboard and putting the voice in and trying to give us like options and ideas. And so it was very instrumental in putting this together. And we even got to rope in. I mean, I haven't named the names yet, but like it's very like this is so Yob, now so Yof, is that there's so much deep hidden meaning the more you listen to it, because there are 4 voices represented in the Your Other Family, and there's 2 men and 2 women to represent our entire community, 1 in Yob, 1 in Yas, and then 2 of our straight allies as well, male and female. And so there is a diversity, a chorus of familial voices saying our name in that little instrumental. And then as the music fades, if you guys listen close, you might hear a couple sparrows tweeting out there. I think they're sparrows. We're just assuming that they're sparrows tweeting out in the distance.
All birds are sparrows.
# all birds are sparrows. Exactly. So So there's a lot of meaning in it, and I was delighted because that'll anchor every single podcast production that comes out of Your Other Family, including all of our Your Other Brothers podcasts. So Daniel and the other brother who you mentioned, thank you to y'all for inspiring this. It was really fun to put it together.
Okay. I'll leave now. Yeah, okay, bye. Of course. So happy to be here.
Daniel, thanks for hopping on for a few minutes. I just wanted to bring you in for a little bit. So you've been on a few combo casts. I have no doubt if you're up for it, if you would love to come on a full episode sometime, I'm sure these boys would love to have you.
Well, if Matt will allow me, I will gladly be here.
Or if one of them is sick and unable to fulfill his duties, maybe you can step in. It would be fun to have you for a full episode. But thanks for popping in, brother. So glad you are in this community. Please don't leave.
Oh,
please don't rollerblade out of here.
Can't wait to hear the rest of the podcast. This is such a teaser. Y'all have fun.
We will. Bye, friend.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you.
What a beautiful man he is, isn't he?
Sweetheart.
So much fun.
I felt guilty because I'm trying to get these podcasts more planned so that my co-hosts know what's happening and know what's coming. But I wanted to throw that in as a surprise to y'all. Hopefully that was a nice little surprise that was not written down anywhere.
I think people appreciate that.
That was the perfect kind of surprise. I loved that.
Yeah, it's like if we're bringing on one of your, if we do the Mother's Day episode and we surprise you with your mom coming on, maybe that's a little much. Maybe that might be a little different.
Ooh.
I almost spat out my tea.
If I surprise you with guests, hopefully they'll be guests that you know and love and enjoy. Not that you don't know and love your moms. I need to retract that. You guys know what I mean. It's a different vibe. It's a different thing. Anyway. All right. So moving on to a new segment that I'm excited about. I think it has a lot of potential. I didn't name it last time because in our last episode, there was just so much going on. There were so many announcements and so many things to catch up on that I neglected to name what this segment will now be known as. And hardcore listeners, lifelong fans of the show might recall this segment. It's morphed through the years. At one point it was the brother beat or the manly morsel or something of that nature, where basically someone brought a news item or a little extra side topic of conversation before we dive into the deeper dive of our topic of our episode. And so in our 2.5 years off, I mentioned in the last episode, I had this running notes document on my phone, and just as things happened in the culture, things relating to faith, sexuality, and masculinity, I would just jot them down. Because I thought, oh my gosh, that would be cool to talk about for a little bit. And as I continued to develop this list and think about this idea whenever the YOBcast returned, I was like, how could we summarize faith, sexuality, and masculinity in a less clunky, just kind of more alliterative, more buzzy sort of way? So what I came up with was God stuff, gay stuff, guy stuff. Which doesn't that sum up our community basically?
Covers all the bases. I don't think we need so much in our tagline, It could just be God stuff, gay
just forget
stuff,
the navigating,
stuff.
The poetry and the journey. Just God stuff, gay stuff, guy stuff. That's what we cover here in Yob.
Yeah, and strike the "you are not alone, even the sparrow finds a home" with "we got you, fam."
We got you, fam. I love that because it's your other family now. We're bringing in the family component to this. So yeah, last time we talked about the Speaker of the House having accountability reports with his son and vice versa. That was interesting. And then we also talked about Corey Asbury painting his nails. And then we also talked about guys calling their friends goodnight before going to bed as the viral TikTok trend that never reached any of our phones, sadly. But we discussed it all. And those are some of the things that happened in the last couple of years. So moving forward, I would like to be a little more current, talk about things that are didn't happen 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, but happened maybe this week or this month or something. And so that is the setup for God stuff, gay stuff, guy stuff. And I will always come prepared with at least one thing, maybe two things, three at most. Just really depends if it's a slow news week or a slow news month. You never know what's happening out there in the news and in the culture. But then I'll always come prepared with at least one thing. And then I'm leaving it up to my co-hosts if they're perusing their own news feeds, and if there's something that comes to mind that they think would be interesting for this, we'll put that in the planning document in the future, and then we'll have it ready to go. So it won't be entirely me all the time, perhaps, but I'll always come ready for at least one thing. So are you guys ready for some guy stuff? Let's start with guy stuff.
Always.
Okay. So guy stuff, this is really fitting that we were talking about Zoe Girl earlier. Are either of you familiar with the up and coming Christian artist, Forrest Frank? Do you know Forrest Frank?
I do not.
No.
Okay. Forrest Frank, Forrest with 2 R's. You guys got to Google this guy. He is like, I think he's right on the cusp of Gen Z millennial, but when you look at him, like I get such Gen Z vibes. He's got like the mustache mullet combo going for him, the baggy clothes. It's like he's so Gen Z. I think he is technically a millennial, but he's on the younger side. But he's like this new artist. Like my 2 nieces who are like 7 and 5, like they're listening to Forrest Frank. Like they're all about Forrest Frank. He sings that song. Have you heard the song? Like, Lord, I need you now more than ever. And he stretches out the words. Would you put my heart back together? It's like really, it's really poppy. He's a really poppy guy. He's like the up and coming. He's like one of the up and coming Christian artists right now. So anyway, there was a TIFF. There was a CCM Christian musician TIFF with Forrest Frank and someone we mentioned last episode, Corey Asbury. There's a little Christian brouhaha out there. All of these stories that I will always be bringing are probably coming from my TikTok feed because the algorithm knows, oh my God, gay guy stuff. Like it knows what I want and it just gives me what I need. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to link this article from the Christian Post, but here's kind of the situation about what happened. I'm just going to read it and then we'll discuss it because there is a prompt that will bring it back to something I think that's very relevant. This is from the Christian Post. Christian singer and songwriter Forrest Frank called out fellow artist Corey Asbury this week after the Reckless Love singer shared a parody video inspired by what Frank called probably the most traumatic moment of my life. In a video posted on social media, the 30-year-old Your Way's Better singer reacted to a clip Asbury uploaded of himself, joking about a vasectomy while riffing on Frank's recovery story. Okay, so we've already got vasectomy entering the chat, so we're off to a good start, I think. All right, so let me keep reading. Frank said he had seen the 10th or even the 20th post from Christian artists poking fun at his skateboarding accident, Gen Z, skateboarding accident last month that left him with 2 fractured vertebrae. Man, this is super tough, Frank said. I know you all are going to be like, Forrest, you're way too sensitive, but this is like making fun of probably the most traumatic moment of my life and my wife's life. Frank, who has more than 5 million Instagram followers, was hospitalized after falling and hitting his back on the edge of a concrete sidewalk. Doctors later confirmed fractures to his L3 and L4 vertebra. Side note, I looked at this video. It is not pleasant. There's like, the part of the sidewalk that like sticks up and then there's like a big dip before the grass starts. There's like a big chunk of sidewalk that's just kind of sticking out. That's like where his back landed, like on that little chunk sticking out. So it did not look fun. And I am not a doctor or physician or someone who's familiar with human anatomy. So the L3 and L4 vertebra, it sounds significant. That both of those would be fractured. So Frank shared his recovery online, documenting his pain while also posting new music he wrote while bedridden. His song Lemonade, yes, he wrote a song called Lemonade, quickly topped Apple Music across all genres, while God's Got My Back also went viral. 2 weeks after his...
Wait, hold on. Can we...
My back. Yeah, just take your time with that.
God's Got My Back and Lemonade. No relation to someone else who wrote Lemonade.
I mean, Lemonade is about making lemonade out of lemons. I'm sure.
Right.
God's got my back. Okay.
Just let that simmer.
I'll just process that.
Yeah, let that simmer over you.
God's got my L4 and L5.
No, L3 and L4, but the L5 too.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So 2 weeks after the injury, Frank said scans showed that his back had healed and he returned to performing 3 weeks after the accident. Did we just witness a miracle? The singer asked on social media. The accident also inspired collaborations. After Christian artist David Crowder broke his leg earlier this month, the two released The Rock. However, the incident also led to parody injury songs from Corey Asbury and others. In his video... Oh my gosh, you guys, I will have so much to say about Corey Asbury. Can y'all tell I'm a little fixated on this beautiful, I think he's a beautiful man, but it says something that he's been in 2 podcasts in a row. So in his video, Corey Asbury filmed himself in bed, joking that he was recovering from surgery. He then revealed it was a vasectomy and launched into a tongue-in-cheek rap. Snip, snip season, but we stay winning souls. Spread the gospel, not my seed, he sang. Frank said he understood the humor, but called the jokes painful to watch. I can totally understand the fact that you guys are just having fun. You're probably not even really thinking that I'm going to see it, he said. I'll just say this to everyone who's making these videos. I'm not telling you to stop, but this raises a really interesting conversation with social media because there's no seatbelt on social media. He later shared a song he wrote for Asbury titled Misunderstood, inviting him to collaborate on the track. Corey, I know that you're a deep songwriter, Frank said. I think it'd be really cool if we kind of tackled the subject together. Asbury responded with an apology. Man, I never meant to poke fun at anything that you were going through, he said in a follow-up video. Bro, I apologize for being one of those people. I heard your song and I think it's really powerful, man. I'm down to go there with you. The singer said he often uses humor. This is Asbury, often uses humor to cope with life's heaviness, but acknowledged that there's been times that I've taken it too far, and I'll own that. He added, I feel misunderstood as well, and I can see the bigger picture here. Asbury then launched into his own addition to Frank's song, singing the lyrics, sometimes words cut so deep, even through all pain, still he forgave, so I can forgive somebody too. And so that's the story of this little... One guy makes fun of another guy for his little skateboarding accident, but it was actually this really traumatic experience. And they didn't like one person was very upfront to say that I don't really like this. And then the other person said, man, I'm so sorry. And he took down his video. And I actually caught a clip of them like on a Zoom call or a stream or something that they posted to social media as well, where they were like bonding and now they're like really good friends. And Forrest Frank wants Corey Asbury and his wife to come over and have dinner with them and collaborate. And there was something like really sweet about seeing Christian artists like have this little tiff, this argument, this little parody thing, this sarcastic humor that went sideways. And then also for all to see, like apologize and rectify and come together. Like I found it very, very moving. And what I wanted to bring up was like, man, how would I feel? Because when I first heard about this story, I was like, similar to what Forrest Frank was saying, was like, are you just too sensitive? Do you just need to get over it? Like, I thought it was funny. I saw the vasectomy video before he took it down, and I thought it was hilarious. But then I also wonder if I had broken my L3 and L4, would I have thought it was as funny? Maybe not. Because I was also trying to apply it to my own life. This is kind of where I wanted to toss it to you guys. Like I wrote a blog to bring it to something that I do, which is not write music, but like I wrote a blog earlier this year about being uncircumcised, which is a very vulnerable topic. It's a vulnerable body part and then a vulnerable topic within a vulnerable body part. And so I was trying to think in my head, if another Christian blogger like wrote a sarcastic parody blog about being uncircumcised or something, poking fun at me, like would I say, ha ha ha, that's my brother in Christ, like sharing in a little levity in a serious situation? Or I'd be like, no, that's kind of hurtful. Like I think his angle was like, if we're all brothers in Christ, if we're all following the same Jesus, why are we like cutting each other down? Why are we like handicapping each other if we're all in this together? You know what I mean? So I was trying to see it from that angle too. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is there room for like Christians to make fun of each other? Or is it like, I don't know, is it something we should be more mindful about, particularly with men, Christian men?
I feel like both sides have a point. Like, I think both can be true, that like maybe Forrest Frank could stand to have a little bit of a thicker skin as he's putting his personal life like on display through social media. Mm-hmm. Like if you know how to get people not to do parody videos of your injury, like don't publicly document your recovery process. Like don't blast your HIPAA details all over the internet. On the flip side, like Corey Asbury, that was probably insensitive. I think the thing that I'm liking about this story is that it didn't escalate into like a Kendrick Lamar and Drake situation. Like they worked it out. We
don't need a Christian like feud with a capital F.
Yeah, they didn't have a series of. Would it be diss tracks or would it be like Matthew 18 confronting your brother tracks? I don't know.
A Matthew 18 track. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's hilarious.
That's where my thought went there. Is like, I don't think I would like if you want to talk through something, why is this all public? I don't know. I think I would have been like, okay, well, if that hurt me, then I'm going to text or email Asbury. So how did he contact? Is that what he did? I don't know. Or how do we know about this? Like, why do I know about their conversation? It's just all so public. That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
This whole thing being so public.
This is you again being on the other end of the millennial spectrum, Matt. This is beyond your capacity.
Yeah, I just scratching my head.
This is what the younger millennials are doing. This is what I'm somewhere in between.
What do you bothered you call?
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between where I normally would not. Yeah, I would not probably put all that online, but that's what the kids are doing now, and I'll just call them kids, even though they're grown men in their 30s, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm with Ryan. Overall, I'm with Ryan. Yeah, I can see both sides, and like in the end, what are you going to say except for good that they showed some maturity and said, "Hey, I'm going to walk your way, you walk mine, and we'll meet in the middle."
All that to say, if someone out there is already thinking about a parody uncircumcised blog, please reach out to me individually. Do not post it first. Like, I don't know, let's work through this. Because I don't want to have a thick skin. I want to be open to jokes and fun, but there are limits sometimes.
That sound is me deleting really quick. Hitting the delete key over and over again.
Ryan. But Ryan, I'm confident if you did that, we could talk about it on the podcast and have restitution just like Corey and Forrest did. So I have no doubt.
You could have me and my wife over for dinner.
Oh, I would love that.
Collaborate on a song. This is all such great publicity.
Such publicity. Yes. All right. So that was guy stuff. Let's go to gay stuff. Are you guys ready for gay stuff?
Always.
I'm so tickled. So second month in a row that politics will enter the chat for a little bit. We're not going to like talk about who we like and don't like or anything, but these are political figures that made it into the culture this month. So I'm assuming y'all know of, at least if you didn't know Forrest Frank, do you know of Tucker Carlson and or Pete Buttigieg? Do you know those folks?
Yes, familiar with both.
Okay, so here's what happened recently. The former Fox News anchor has a podcast, and he mentioned Pete Buttigieg, who was a 2020 presidential candidate, served as Secretary of Transportation under President Biden. And Tucker Carlson was attacking him with some guest. I don't know who the guest was, but Tucker Carlson was attacking Buttigieg on his recent podcast episode, labeling Buttigieg a, quote, fake gay guy.
Ooh.
Because Buttigieg is gay, has a husband, and has children. And so called him a, quote unquote, fake gay guy, suggesting that Buttigieg's sexuality might be more of a political construct than an authentic experience. Carlson said, my gay producer was always like, he's not gay. He was with a girl like 20 minutes ago. Carlson then stated his intention to ask Buttigieg, quote, very specific questions about gay sex, end of quote, to test whether he could even provide an answer. So again, we're not going to talk about whether we like this person or that person, politics, whatever. But I thought what this brought up for me was like, why in this person's mind, and probably lots of people's mind, like, why do gay people have to be stereotypically gay or flamboyant? It's just, I'm assuming his angle, because Pete Buttigieg is like, he's got a beard now. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but like, he looks very masculine. He's very smart. He went to, I don't know what schools he went to, but he's very accomplished, very smart, very well-spoken. And I guess gay people can't be that. They can't be smart. They can't be well presented. They can't have a beard. Like, I don't know what the diss is here, but I thought it just brought up a lot for me. I was like, oh man, I don't like that caricature that he's putting out there.
Well, it's like you can't make them happy, you know, like either you're
right.
not gay enough or you're too gay, you know? Like
right.
Pete Buttigieg needs to put on his rollerblades and rollerblade around the Zoe girl.
That was exactly what I was going to say. That would remove all doubt.
Daniel lives.
Yeah, you want to talk about convincing Carlson, or what's his name? Yeah, then
yes,
Zoe girl, whoever the heck that is.
Yeah, it's just like, man, can we get to the point? You summed it up really well. I was trying to figure out how to sum it up, Ryan, but I was just like, yeah, it's like he's either too gay or not gay enough, and And like, can he just exist in this world without like someone saying he needs to be this or more like this or not this at all? Like, I don't know. I don't get that.
And in what America does getting married to a man give you like political advantage?
Yeah.
You know, like if he's doing it for political advantage, like I don't understand that argument either.
Right. I guess it's like, I don't know, like trying to be diverse, but then I don't know, it'd be so much easier. Like if you're trying to be elected president, I think it would be so much easier if you were a straight man, considering we've never had an openly gay president to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that is true. I don't know. But there you have it. The new trend that's sweeping the world: God stuff, gay stuff, guy stuff. So stay tuned. Next time we'll talk about more things hitting the culture, the cross section of faith, sexuality, and masculinity. We love it. All right, let's get into some announcements. The last episode that came out on this podcast network was a Your Other Sisters podcast. Can y'all believe? Can y'all even believe? It was an episode at least 2, maybe even 3 years in the making. And it was so just refreshing to hear 3 women. And also there's like a really big segment, if anyone missed it, there's a really big segment where they talk about Your Other Brothers and how they were like, a lot of them were there like from nearly the beginning. Like Aaron came along a few years ago. So, but I mean, like for these women to listen to these male podcasts, because there were no female only podcasts out there, and the fact that they could like still get something out of it and still participate, it just really made me think like, could you guys even imagine? I think we did talk about this on a podcast once, but it's like, could you even imagine if your only resource as you were coming to terms with your faith and sexuality and you're looking for resources, your only resource was an all female podcast and you just had to get what you could from their conversations. And I'm sure we would probably still get a lot, but it's just so different to have a group of women versus a group of men talking about these topics and these issues and the bonds that you inevitably form with the people who are sharing. So I just love that there are now women out there who can listen to Your Other Sisters podcast and no longer just have to listen to us anymore. I hope they still do, but they have other options now, which is exciting. Yas. That's what we say. So we're excited to hopefully put those episodes out every other month or so. That is our intent and our hope for Your Other Sisters podcast. This is just a reminder that we still have Your Other Family podcast network, the single channel, and a single, I haven't mentioned this in a hot minute, a single place like on Apple Podcasts where you could rate and review not only Your Other Brothers podcast productions, but also now Your Other Sisters podcast productions. So we'll have a link in the notes. If you're a new listener, if you joined in the last 2.5 years and you've never left us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, we would love that. It helps like stir the algorithm, stir the pot again, remind people that this podcast exists, and hopefully supernaturally, algorithmically get it into people's ears who would love to be able to hear this. So we really appreciate your time, taking the time to do that. We're also on YouTube at Your Other Fam, and as I joked at the top, we're going to be pulling some YouTube clips with Ryan, with Matt, anyone else who might join us along the way. So go see our faces on YouTube if you don't know what we look like. I imagine there's probably people listening who have no idea what we look like maybe. So go see what we look like. When you see Matt, you're just going to fall out of your chair.
I do every time.
What a beautiful man that is. Okay, so go check us out on YouTube. We're going to hopefully do more YouTube clips. Same thing, like and subscribe, stir the algorithm. If we see like traction, maybe we'll be inspired to do more video clips. And then also, if you don't comment on this episode, which I hope you do, you can go to yourotherbrothers.org and leave us a comment. Or you can call the YOFline, formerly the YOBline. It's now the YOFline, 1706-389-8009. If you have a story to share, a comment, a question to ask, feel free to leave it on the show. Just make sure you tell us at the top, who are you calling for? Are you calling for Your Other Brothers? Are you calling for Your Other Sisters? Are you calling for the overarching ministry of Your Other Family? Because there's all kinds of people you could call. Maybe one day we'll have one of those things where you can like push 1 to talk to Your Other Brothers and push 2. We're not there yet technologically. We'll get there. Maybe one day we'll get there. We're still rocking 1 phone number, 1 message that plays, and hopefully we'll have some good interaction with all of our listeners moving forward.
Por español, puedes elegir 9. We need that also.
Oh my gosh, that'd be next level. Yeah.
All the operators in our YOF call center are standing by.
Oh my gosh. If we have people standing by to talk, that'll be another thing altogether. All right, and before we get into our episode on masculine beauty, we need to thank the sponsor of this episode. Y'all, who is the epitome of male beauty? Going back to the beginning of time, who is the epitome of male beauty?
Oh, Absalom, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're close. You're so close. David.
Oh,
This is brought to you by the David statue. You might see, actually, if you're on YouTube, you might see a David statue in my background. But this episode is brought to you by the David statue, setting the standard for male beauty since 1504. 1504.
that jawline.
And I want to give a shout out to Michelangelo because you guys, I learned so much about, do you guys know the story, the legend of the marble block that the David came from?
No.
I'm judging by those expressions that you have not, because I didn't know. This is another shout out to ChatGPT, who's going to be a very major player in podcast production.
The fourth member of this podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We have Daniel, who made a brief appearance, but then we have ChatGPT, who's also made lots of appearances. Yeah. Let me briefly tell you about the marble that the David came from. In 1464, there was a statue commissioned to be 17 feet tall, something that was to be biblically based for the Florence Cathedral. The marble was quarried and delivered, but it was notoriously hard to work with. It was narrow and tall with imperfections. So then between 1464 and 1476, two sculptors were asked to attempt it. The first one abandoned it. The second one abandoned it. The block was nicknamed the Giant and was left exposed in the yard of the cathedral workshop for over 25 years. Can you believe it? In 1501, a 26-year-old Michelangelo was convinced the overseers that he could succeed where others failed. And so for 3 years, between 1501 and 1504, working in secrecy, he carved the David from that very block, transforming a piece of marble that many considered ruined into a Renaissance masterpiece. Isn't that amazing?
Wow. In secret, no less.
In secret. No one knew it was coming.
I thought you were going to say he just started chiseling in this big marble block, and he was as surprised as anyone else to discover there was a hot naked man inside.
Yeah, right.
That's how it happened. And boom.
He's
now we have the David.
Been there the whole time. I've never heard that, though. That's so interesting.
Isn't that so interesting? Yeah. So thanks, Michelangelo and David, for setting up this episode. Masculine beauty. I feel like this is such a bread and butter topic for us. I mean, I feel like all of our topics are bread and butter because that's why we choose them. But I want to shout out Ryan because I feel like Ryan is synonymous with masculine beauty, because I think there was like an episode.
I also talk about it a lot too.
Yes.
I remember one of the funny things I remember on Discord, someone commenting something similar to this. And then Ryan, you commented on the Discord saying like, I've been conjured or something, like someone said something relating to this topic and you're just like, and you were immediately drawn to it. Mm-hmm. And then someone else from the City of Oaks commented on that as well. So I just feel like this episode has so much of your fingerprints all over it. So do you want to give us a little bit of a foundation where this topic comes from?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of become a little bit of my brand around here. Yeah. So I think, I grew up in the evangelical purity culture, right? Which a lot of us did, where lust was seen as this like inevitable outcome from perceiving beauty for anyone, girl, guy, straight or gay. And so like coming out of that, like this deep sense of shame attached itself to my capacity to experience and appreciate beauty in men, right? And there just wasn't any imagination for like what that appreciation for beauty might mean or lead to besides like sexual brokenness. And yeah, like I can't really control like the response I have to, like, I'm just talking about that initial, like my gut reaction to seeing masculine beauty. Like I can't control that. And so it was like a very deeply shameful thing for me for a long time. But this idea kind of like developed in my head, this realization that like, wait, this beauty I'm seeing is part of creation. Like God created this beauty. God created this man as much as God created me, you know? And there's this very real sense in which like the correct response to beauty and creation is always wonder and delight. And so that's kind of like the line that I tend to repeat over and over again. The correct response to beauty and creation is always wonder and delight. And like that initial response can go different places, you know? But on its own, I've come to see it as a gift. It can lead me into worship. I think beauty and creation is put there by God to point us back to Him, to remind us of who God is in various ways. And so I can let that response to the beauty I see lead me back to a worshipful or reverent kind of place with God. I can also, you know, if I'm not careful, it can lead me into lust. I can look at that beauty and say, have some reaction that wants to sort of like consume that beauty for myself or redirect that beauty to myself in some way. And so that lust response is, you know, is like something that a lot of people have a lot of concern about, right? And yes, like lust, we should not lust, you know? But I think the important thing for me to sort of like grow out of that shame is that realization that actually God like wired in me this capability to see and receive beauty in the way that He hasn't wired like straight men to receive that beauty, or I think women either. So I think like there's this special way of seeing the world. There's this special way of being receptive to beauty that we have that feels like a very like special and particular thing. I don't know. So I started to feel like, isn't this a little like God letting me on this secret, this cosmic secret, to be able to perceive this beauty that not everyone can perceive? And it's like He created this beauty in men, but kind of like any artist, He couldn't bear to keep it to Himself, and so He gave some of us men the capacity to see it in the way that He does. So anyway, this is all like has been very helpful for me in like thinking through the nuance of like what's going on in this moment where I see this attractive man in the grocery store. How do I take that thought captive and tease out like what is actually good and beautiful and a gift about this, rather than my initial response being like, oh, F words, not again, you know? Like to hold that thought and be like, oh yeah, what a blessing that there's an attractive person, that I got to perceive beauty. What a blessing. And I get to say, God, you've done so well. And I recognize that you're the source of that beauty, and that you are offering that beauty of yourself. Like you're offering your own self and beauty to me. And let me drink deeply of that, God. So it's been just very helpful for me to just move through the world in a more peaceful, gracious way.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I was going to read this comment a little later, but I'll just read it now because it connects with what I want to say in response to that too. But one of our yobbers said this about this topic. It wasn't until I was part of a thread with other yobbers about the male body a little over a year ago that I read something Ryan wrote in his comments about appreciating the male physique and the beauty of it made by God. Since then, I've never looked at men the same way. It was like a light switch turned on. I can honestly say that I've never lusted after a man since. Like, that's amazing. That is, and I could not authentically say I have not lusted after a man since I heard that. I can't go that far. I'll take this man at his word that's the truth, that is his truth. But I will say, Ryan, it happens all the time. I see a hot guy running down the sidewalk and I think about Ryan and I'm like, there's this like element of, sometimes there is an element of lust, or there's an element of envy, or there's an element of longing, but there is also just like an appreciation, like, wow, that is a beautiful creation right there. The arms swinging, the the glistening on the skin, the sun hitting him just right. You know what I mean?
Oh my. Oh my, yes.
I just thank God. And I was just like, Ryan, that is so cool. That I think going back to our gratitude podcast, that's jumping out at me as like a time where you might have mentioned this for the first time on the podcast. Might not have been that episode. One of our podcast hardcore fans can let me know, but you've mentioned it multiple times on our Discord server and various conversations in our community. So I love that this is your brand. This is like your episode, basically.
Yes. And then I can be done. Bye. No, that Discord thread started with the question of like how much are we kind of, I forget the wording, but basically like how much are we allowed to appreciate male beauty? And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, I think lust is not an over appreciation of male beauty. I think it's a mismanagement of that response. You know, it's like feeling that appreciation and not stewarding it well. And so really like, I just see a lot of guys in our community, like asking that question, like, how much am I allowed to perceive beauty, you know? And I just don't think that the problem of lust really gets solved by us keeping beauty out of our vision.
That's good. Good stuff. That's a good setup for this conversation. I asked the Yobbers, our community members over on Discord, what specific masculine traits, characteristics, or arenas cause you pause in appreciation of this beauty, be they physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual? And I'll throw in there, if y'all want to mention who you think the most beautiful man is. I mean, other than David, we covered David, the sponsor of this episode. Like, is there a beautiful man out there that jumps out at you that you just want to tell us why? Why did they grab your attention? Why are you beholden to them? Because I will say, for me, for the longest time, I still find him beautiful, but there is a new shining star in my universe.
Okay.
Are you guys ready? So Shawn Mendes was somebody that I just admired for years and years and years. And I always will. I have a soft spot for Shawn. I call him Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, you guys, Matt, you might appreciate this. I think I've mentioned his name once before. Not Zac Efron, but Zac has a brother.
Dylan.
Zac has a brother, Dylan Efron. And I didn't even know this guy existed until The Traitors, this reality show. It's sort of like Mafia with all these reality stars, and it's horribly addicting. But he was on the most recent season, Dylan Efron. And he's like so attractive, but I think what arrests me about him, to give context to the masculine traits and characteristics, the question I just read, is like he's got the body, he's got the abs, he's got the smile, but there's like a gentleness. And this is what attracts me to Shawn Mendes too. Is like there's a gentle spirit where he's not just like this raw like masculinity. Like he's attractive. He clearly works hard for his body, but then there's just this gentleness, the sweetness. He's clearly an introverted guy. He's just very soft-spoken, and then there's just like an approachability to him that I also admire. So that's my my Pokemon that I'm playing.
I totally understand that. Ryan, are you familiar with him, Dylan?
Old Dylan?
I just now Googled him. Okay. And he is adorable.
He is on the new season of Dancing with the Stars too. I might have to watch Dancing with the Stars for the first time. I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah, think you should.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the boys.
Oh, I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to because I don't want to embarrass myself. But the first person who came to mind was, I think his name is Taylor, but he was in this movie called Red, White, and Royal Blue. Amazon Prime, maybe. But this is there are two good-looking guys on there who fall for one another, and one is the darker complexion. Don't know whatever ethnic combination, whatever God did with him, it was perfect. Just a stunning. One of these makes almost too perfect. Ryan, are you looking at pictures? It's almost too perfect.
Taylor Zakar Perez.
Yeah, Zakar Perez. So somebody from the Middle East and somebody from South America fell in love, and God did a beautiful thing with this man. Lord, help us. Yeah. So stunning human. But I could go on and on. But
this is a great podcast for those that are listening. This is a great podcast. If you've got Google at the ready, you can start Googling all these people that we've brought up today. Forrest Frank,
but also maybe
Dylan.
like keep a glass of ice water by your computer, so you can just like
yeah, for your head.
Stay hydrated, please.
Please do not Google attractive men while you're driving or doing something with heavy machinery or any of those things.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. I am not liable. I'm not liable for anything that might happen to you. But yeah, in general, like what are some of those characteristics or traits that y'all find particularly attractive? And I don't know if you need to know why. Sometimes we just think things are beautiful and then there's not necessarily have to be a reason why. But I'm curious if anything jumps out at you just as we look externally before we maybe swing inwardly later.
All right. I think for me, I think it's this blending of like strength and gentleness, or like ferocity and tenderness at the same time. Like a person who is just rough and strong and rugged doesn't do much for me, versus like, and also someone who's like just tender, just soft, just gentle doesn't do much for me. But someone who sort of like embodies both, like those are the men who I find the most attractive. Like just
like peanut butter and chocolate. It's such a great combo.
Yeah. So both like emotionally and just like that maps onto visual aesthetics, where like a man looks like strong and has this like powerful presence, but also is like well kept and well presented.
That's great.
Are you guys sucker for the dad thing? Like when you see some man in Timberlands and a flannel shirt bend down and pick up his daughter and start giggling with her. Somebody like pick me up off the floor.
No, as you were sharing that, Ryan, and as you're sharing that, Matt, like, yeah, there is something to that I definitely, there's probably a couple exceptions here and there, but by and large, I think it's the fusing of the quote unquote masculine and the quote unquote feminine, like these two energies that are like merging into one balanced looking individual. Like, I think that to me is something that I also find very attractive. Like, it's not necessarily an extreme of one or an extreme of the other. It's like this blending of those two. Very fascinating.
And are we drawn to some sort of balance there? We don't have to dive into that too deep, but what is happening there? Because I would think that what we're all agreeing on, it may be fairly common. And so, we never will be able to answer that, but could there be a marriage of those two beautiful, two reflections of how God created us, that come together in this very attractive way?
I was just going to say, like I was thinking in my head, like WWE wrestlers who have these amazing bodies. Like you look at them and they're like very sculpted and very bulky and very big, but there's nothing in me that's like, I find that I wouldn't use the language beautiful. Like, sure, they have a nice body, but I'm not like drawn to it in a sense of awe and wonder. It's like, okay. And the same goes with like, I'm using WWE as the most extreme example of like someone who's like ripped and big. But I'm just like, I don't find that beautiful. And I think there's like the lacking of this other energy that I would like to be there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's certainly an extent to which like there's just no accounting for taste. Like somebody out there is going to say, "Oh yeah, WWE wrestlers are just so beautiful to me," and that's valid. I think we all have ways that we can investigate the beauty that we see and lean into it with curiosity and say, why is that beautiful to me? And I think for me, like that kind of blending of softness and hardness just makes me think of like you said, Tom, or alluded to, like, or maybe Matt, like the aspects of God, like simultaneously, like a fierce protector and loving, tender parent, and like even Jesus, like the word meek used to mean sort of like restrained strength, or like strength controlled and directed. And so like in like the King James version, Jesus describes himself as meek, and obviously he wasn't speaking King James English, but like that is the sense of how he described himself in this passage. And so I think that's a way for me that like that response to beauty and like having my heart drawn toward that like meekness in the arcaic sense of the word, is a way that I can let that beauty like point me toward the character of God and the story of the gospel of Jesus being incarnated and meekified, if you will, and to like to be redemption for us.
There's maybe something that we're drawn to, like you said, we don't actually know why. Sometimes you look at water falling down a rock and you're like, that's so beautiful. Why is it beautiful? I don't really know. I just want to look at it. Sometimes it's hard to explain why something is beautiful in our eyes. And maybe that's something to be analyzed there, that we're drawn to that. And because it reflects different aspects of, God's beauty.
Well, I want to read some Yobber feedback because they came through. Once again, shout out to the Yobbers for coming through with some thoughts on what they find attractive in men. What are some beautiful physical traits and characteristics? We'll start in the physical and we'll move from there. One of our Yobbers said this, quote, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." End quote. From a young age, I was always intrigued by anatomy, certainly the fascination of the inner workings of bodies and understanding how things functioned, but even more impressively, how the body moves. I'm amazed by just about every inch of the male physique, from all the tiny facial muscles you can see when a man talks, laughs, eats, to a well-defined gastro whatever when a man stands on his toes. Some of my favorite memories as a kid were watching The Christmas Angel, A Story on Ice, or The Nutcracker, or Lord of the Dance. The strength and fluidity and artistry of the human body in movement, especially put to music, was always entrancing. Ice skating, ballet, and Irish river dance, respectively, for those who didn't know.
I had to look up that word that starts with gastro, and I see his point.
I know. I tried reading it. Gastrocnemius.
It does not have anything to do with your stomach, as it turns out.
What is it? I've never heard that.
It's like, okay, when you stand on your tiptoes, you know how your calf just like suddenly gets really cut?
Oh,
you know?
That's what that is?
That.
Oh, no way. I have never heard that before.
So basically he's saying he loves a well-turned calf.
Yeah.
Okay,
nice.
Calf guy. I've got a calf guy.
we all have our different, But I was going to say, maybe when I was younger, I didn't notice maybe all those like the facial muscles when someone was like in my area of the world, like had chewing tobacco or something like that. But I remember feeling, I think probably a lot of guys in our community, and Ryan mentioned this, probably grew up feeling so confused first and then ashamed for noticing men the way we did. Probably all of us experienced that. And I remember realizing that I noticed every man in a room before I noticed the first woman. And I hated that about myself. And it was so confusing. I remember being at a state fair out in the city of Oaks with a friend not that long ago. And we're walking along and we were looking, people watching, and he said, "How about those pants, right?" And I said, "Yeah, weird, like black and white stripe." And he was like, "No, the girls' pants." And I said, "Oh, yeah. Whoa, yeah, so weird."
Outed. Ouch.
I'm always doing that with Christmas cards too. Like I look at the man first.
What's he wearing? Yeah. No, where does your attention go first? It's just, it's totally a thing. Speaking of attention, someone that remembers this. I remember my brother getting a dumbbell set when I was very young. Besides instructions, there was a picture of an extremely fit male. To advertise what the goal was for using the set, all muscles were in view. Well-proportioned, well-defined, big, but not too big. Over the years, I found myself fascinated with watching the human body in motion, especially the male body. I especially sought out the Olympics, both the winter and summer. However, the summer brought men's gymnastics, wrestling, along with the field events, exposing the male body more. I did watch the women's events. While my words can be applied also to the female body, women just didn't have the same draw for me as men do. I was in awe watching the muscles of the body move, supporting the skeleton, having power yet also being subtle. The human body that God has given us is incredible. We have the potential to do so much in molding it, shaping it, developing, and caring for it. Yeah, all of these sports and rhythms and movements. That was something I was not thinking about when I crafted this question. So I'm glad a couple people brought those up. I remember the first time. Do you guys remember the first time you saw Michael Phelps? Do you remember? Michael Phelps is like from our generation growing up.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first time I saw him, like his wingspan, I was like, how is that a person? Like his shoulders are bigger than my legs.
His torso super long. Yeah, God created him for that.
Torso, the triangle shape, like on extreme. Yeah, like of the way his body was. I don't know how it is anymore, but the way it was back then anyway, it was incredible.
By the way, an athlete to be watching for right now is a guy who's on the top of his tennis game named Carlos I always want to say Alcatraz, but that's the jail out in San Francisco, right?
All right, everybody everyone listening, Google it. Carlos tennis. We're going to figure this out.
It's all I'm going to say is it's nice
Alcaraz.
To watch him play.
Oh, he's
Carlos
a cutie.
Alcaraz. It's nice to watch him play tennis. That's just what I want to say. You should watch him play.
Wow. We love sports.
What a blessing. What a blessing.
Praise God from, I was going to say that. I sit in the hot tub at the gym, just chilling after a workout. And I think about, you're talking about when my mind, you're talking about, you think of Ryan when guys are running down the sidewalks of the Jewel or the Blue Ridge. I'm sitting watching guys go in and out of the sauna at my gym and want to walk out and I'll go, what would Ryan say? He would say, praise God. And I'll just sing it. And really in that moment, it can be, instead of I'm ashamed for noticing him, I think it's such a beautiful thing to turn it, like you said, Brian, and say, you know what? It's almost like I get in on this special, unique appreciation of what God did in creating this man and how he's taking care of himself. And it's a beautiful thing. And I often think this, I hope that the woman in his life is appreciating him as much as I would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like I don't want anyone listening to hear what we're saying and think that we're like condoning like sitting, like I'm not accusing you of this, Matt, but like sitting in the locker room and like scoping people out, like ogling
objectifying
people, you know, like don't ogle people, please, dear listener. But I think primarily I'm concerned with that initial like wonder and awe spark that we feel. And then also I think there are appropriate ways to sit and behold that beauty. Like if I'm getting lunch with my friend who I think is attractive, and like it's okay for like that my perception and appreciation of his beauty to be like an ingredient to like the joy, my enjoyment of that time with him. Like our bodies matter in our relationships, and my body is in friendship with his body too, you know, in addition to our minds. And so like I just want to like be careful that none of what we're saying gets like misconstrued as like we're totally just like sitting around and, you know, staring at people, following people up and down the grocery store aisles.
And the extreme is you spend so many years and some people listening right now maybe would think, you know what? I feel like I need to look away when I see a guy attractive, or maybe he's shirtless and I need to not look. And I see someone at the gym, or I don't go into locker rooms at all. There may probably guys listen to us who are like, I don't go into locker rooms.
Yeah.
And I get that for different people. It's hard to draw black and white lines for everyone as to what you should and shouldn't do. But like you're saying, the heart of the matter, Ryan, is that you are finding not being motivated by shame and self-hatred and guilt to constantly avoid appreciating male beauty, but to be motivated for the glory of God. And it's kind of this middle ground, like where we live in side B. This is just where we are, this middle ground that's misunderstood a lot of times by both sides. And it can be difficult to explain.
You know who has a new song called Misunderstood?
Oh, wow.
Forrest Frank. Our boy, Forrest Frank, friend of the show.
I can't remember. What does he sing again, Tom? How's that song go?
Lord, I need you now more than ever. Would you put my heart back together? All that stuff.
That's the one.
Yeah, you guys go stream it. Go support our brother in Christ.
This YouTube video is about to get demonetized.
I know. Last physical trait I want to read is somebody said this: beards stand out to me as the most masculine draw to beauty. A story on this regards getting a Christian coloring book for my kids. In the book, kids color various elements of church life, whether Bible stories or priestly vestments. One page simply has a man's unshaven face, and the instruction is, draw a beard on the man. I can readily say that application of a beard to a guy's face, even simply coloring one on, instantly makes that guy more beautiful to me. To me, the beard signifies a sense of ruggedness and a clear distinction of someone as man. To quote St. Augustine, the beard signifies the courageous. The beard distinguishes the grown men, the earnest, the active, the vigorous, so that when we describe such, we say, he is a bearded man. I love the way that was written. It was so beautiful. That was beautiful to me, just reading that.
Some people would say that a beard is something to hide behind.
Oh,
what do you think? Does a beard, like a big beard, like separate
maybe
you from the world?
Maybe there is a law of diminishing returns for me, because in general, as people get older, I've noticed this, like men that I find attractive, like, no, you have such a beautiful face, don't hide it with a beard. But then at some point something changes and then they grow it out and like, oh wait, never mind, I was wrong. Like the beard, just like a little beard, not like, generally speaking, I'm not drawn to big bushy big beards as beautiful. To each his own. But yeah, I think it does wonders, especially as you enter, Lord help us, as we enter our middle-aged years. Like I think the beard is something that I'm finding more attractive myself as well.
It does shift in time.
I happen to know that this Yobber kind of dwells in the Orthodox tradition, and to me, this comment is just very like what an Orthodox would say, like. Oh, the Orthodox children's coloring book is like, this man is missing something. Draw in the beard, and to be like, it's just so super hot. A beard.
Shout out to our Orthodox friends.
Yeah, no, I love this Yobber deeply, and I just find it's awesome. His faith inspiring. But it is like we all have our brands, you know. So.
All right, moving from physicality to more like traits that people in our community find attractive. Here's what someone else said. While I love looking at pretty men, and just pretty people in general, the physical elements have never been a big draw for me. What always has been a bigger point of intrigue and fascination is the element of intellectual and emotional stability with a healthy man who is self-aware and introspective. A recent example is a good friend who I reconnected with recently, who has been someone that I admire and am always encouraged by emotionally and spiritually. He is also a musician, but his music has been a way that I felt connected to him, even during the years we were not locationally close. We love a self-aware man. That is something that as I've been going to men's groups and men who are just getting real about struggles and emotions and what they're feeling, like there is something very deeply attractive and, dare I say, beautiful about that. A man who is just not numb to whatever it is going on in his life. Yeah, who's confronting it, talking about it, empathizing with what I'm going through. Yeah, I resonate deeply with that. Similarly, another Yobber said, I'm always appreciating certain men's capacity for pausing to reflect. I see this as being both an intellectual and emotional appreciation. I used to see this as a preference of my avoidant tendencies. In further reflection, I realized how often I felt I had to be in a place of responsiveness to needs and demands that rose around me in order to feel at peace. One of my previous coworkers was a very quiet fellow. There was not much he would contribute to group conversations, but he also never got swept into a reactive stance when concerns or issues arose. His peaceful consideration was something I very much admired and thought to be a beautiful sense of certainty, stoicism, and assurance of self. When he did speak, he had the most valuable things to say. I love that. I love when someone doesn't really talk all that much, but then when they do talk and they like have gold, they have gold to say. I want to be more like that.
I'm unmuting myself to say, I want to be more like that.
Exactly. Upon deeper thinking, this other Yobber says, I realize that I'm really drawn to men that take the lead. I like it when a man helps me to take care of complicated stuff, or even better, takes care of it himself and releases me from the burden for someone else to be there for me. It makes me feel at ease knowing that I don't have to do everything by myself, that I can depend on someone. And I am quite independent. I have to be living the single life, but I notice a deep longing for someone to fully lean on. And when a man does fulfill that need, always in part, never in full, I tend to be drawn to them and care deeply about them. Not in a romantic way, but in a fraternal way. Where it becomes tricky is when I replace that person for what Jesus should be for me, because when talking about someone to lean on, that is precisely what Jesus wants to be for me when he calls me to follow him and take on his yoke and burden. And I know he is the answer, and I've experienced him fulfilling my needs, but a physical hug every now and then wouldn't hurt either. Someone's love language is acts of service. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was getting from that. All right. And then this last one for traits, masculine traits that people find beautiful. Someone said, if I had to think about it, one of the biggest things that I find attractive is masculine confidence. A man who is confident in who he is and is not beholden to what others have determined for him to be masculine is truly a sight to see. It's men who are confident in their own style, who aren't afraid to buck against traditional norms like painting their nails. Shout out Corey Asbury, or wear style of clothes that people would consider feminine. It's guys who aren't afraid to wear bright colors, patterns, and even do fun styles, colors with their hair. They create a style all their own, and it's unique to them. Yeah, just like the masculine confidence. I think that to me is also something that jumps out. Someone who's just sure of themselves, not in a braggadocious, like cocky way, but confident. There's a distinction there.
You know, I was trying to think while you were reading those comments about what the men in my life when I was younger, what qualities they possessed that made me feel secure and drawn to them. And I was thinking there's something about being with another friend who's just confident, but also competent. I think my dad was such a protector. Like my dad could figure it out. If my dad was around, then everything would be okay. Because if we have a problem, he would know how to solve it. You know? And now that he's gone, there's a degree to which there's just like this, like, well, who do I ask? Who now? And my truck is, the clutch went out, something wrong with the transmission, been in the shop. And I won't go into the boring details of trying to figure out. And the mechanics call me and saying, maybe this and maybe that. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what to do. And I called my buddy, Edwin, and he knows cars. He talked to the mechanic for me. He got on the phone, explained it to me in a way I could understand, and was patiently telling me what he thought I should do. And I got off the phone, and I was just sitting in the parking lot of an auto shop in Charlotte. And I got a little emotional. I thought, my dad's gone, and I just feel so loved in this moment. I feel like my buddy took time at work, talked to the mechanic for me, and I felt safe. I felt cared for. There's something that I think I'm saying I'm just drawn to male competence and confidence. If you can think of another way to describe that, I've got some men in my life who I can call now, and that's so beautiful to me. It makes me feel safe, desired, wanted, all the things.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. As somebody who knows nothing about what goes on inside an automobile, that is reassuring to have people in our lives who can help out with those things, the reassured competence there. Very nice. Well, I asked the yobbers the other side of the coin, beyond the things we admire, the things that we find beautiful. I asked them, where do you find masculine beauty difficult to point you back to the Creator? Where have you seen admiration perhaps turn to envy or lust or perhaps shame and cynicism? And one of our yobbers responded this way: masculine beauty, specifically physical beauty, is a loaded subject for me. While I have a great love and appreciation for the beauty of the male body, it has also been a source of lust, shame, and jealousy. This is particularly difficult with fitness and gym culture. I've always felt intimidated by men who are more fit than me. To me, they have something that I want: a fitter, stronger, more attractive body. But no matter how hard I have tried over the years, I have never been able to achieve what I deem beautiful or attractive. This has led to intense shame around my body and how I see myself, so much so that I have never truly loved my own body, as there's always something that doesn't measure up to what I feel is attractive and beautiful. As such, I don't feel like I would be accepted as someone who could be as masculine as them. This has also led to years of struggle with lusting over men and what they have, because I would never have it myself. While the Lord has been giving me freedom with this struggle with lust, as well as seeing men as image bearers and not objects, I still struggle with seeing myself as having a sense of masculine beauty, at least physically. And I just want to say right off the top, like that is something that I have resonated with and probably still do to an extent, depending on the day. Everyone's body is different. And so I am not a, whatever it's called, whatever you go to school for to learn about how the body works and like to become a personal trainer. You guys know whatever that field is. I don't know what that field is. Kinesiology or like exercise something. I don't know, whatever that field is like, it's a combination of nutrition and like diet and sleep and exercise and how often you exercise and what kind of exercise you do. Is like everyone's body is going to respond differently to different things. But I don't know. I feel like I've started to figure things out in my own life the last year and a half that I feel more proud of my body than I've been in a long time. And so there's something in me that both still empathizes with this comment and sees growth as well, because I definitely still go to the gym and still feel intimidated and still feel thrown into that comparison trap of like, if I'm not lusting, I'm at least envying for sure. But I also figuring out what's worked for me has helped somewhat. I don't know if it's 1% or 5% or 10%, but like it's helped a little bit. And so, I don't know. I hope anyone out there, if you're able to figure out what works for you, it's helped me, but I also know that that's easier said than done because the body is a complicated thing as far as getting it to do what we want it to do. And I know everyone's different.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about body image in other podcast episodes in different places, and that's kind of been a lifelong struggle for me. And I think maybe part of it is just like an important aspect of this conversation, this like beauty in people conversation, is that it's just a very human thing to sort of sort the world into beautiful people and ugly people, and then treat the beautiful people with more dignity. And just like having this freedom to appreciate beauty doesn't give us license to treat anyone with any less dignity. And I think that body image response, or just like having a hard time with that, is sort of applying that human tendency to yourself to say like, I'm not that beautiful, so therefore I'm worth less. And I think like growth in that area for like the way we treat other people and for the way we treat ourselves is to like really grow in seeing beauty in more places, to see beauty in like normal people with normal everyday bodies, and that includes myself.
And you know what? It's what's been helpful to me. The more people you meet and talk to, the more beautiful people you meet and talk to, and realize that they all have these unique types of insecurities. You follow me? Like my coworker is a tattooed boxer weightlifter, and we're both named Matt, and people call us Matt Squared. We're together all the time, and people are constantly walking up to us and saying like, "So you work out your shoulders a lot?" And they like, I'm invisible. Like, or they'll be like, "So what gym do you go to?" And I'm like, I go to the gym all the time. Like, can you not just at least just ask me something about? Is there anything? You know, I'm invisible with him, but Matt will talk to me about his struggle with anxiety, constant with depression, with his insecurities around his waistline, all these things. You get to know somebody, and no matter how much they have going for them in one area, they all deal with some sort of insecurity or struggle. And I could go on and on. I was watching one of my YouTube guys I follow the other day, who's just stunning. And he was talking about his struggle with insecurity and anxiety. And I'm sitting there talking back to YouTube going, what do you have to be insecure about? You have thousands of followers on YouTube, and you're beautiful, so you have no problems. But the truth is, yeah, the more people get to know, everybody's carrying their own baggage around and struggles. Anyway, that's helpful for me to remember at times.
Yeah, I wanted to rattle off a couple, because this was a common theme. A bunch of our community members who commented, which I'm sure translates to others listening, how body image entered into this and how we view other men. Someone says he's found himself envious of a lot of them, especially those with beautiful bodies. All my life, I wanted pecs so I could walk around in public shirtless. Unfortunately, I was born with gynecomastia, male breasts. It wasn't so bad as a kid, then puberty hit. I hated gym class so much, especially when it came to basketball because we had to do shirts versus skins. thank God, this is Tom speaking. I never had to do that. I never played Shirts versus Skins as a kid, but I've heard horror stories from our community. But back to the comment, in 8th grade, we had communal showers for the first time. I would never do it at school. In the Army, I would take showers late at night so no one would see my chest. If someone did walk in to take a shower, I'd turn to the wall so that they wouldn't see my chest. And it's just like really resonating with people who have had these hard relationships with their bodies. Someone else said, as I find so much appreciation for masculine and specifically the athletic physique, I often find it difficult to not conflate the two and set them as the standard for what it means to be masculine. Because I can see trends and patterns in the masculine athletic physical builds, it becomes quite easy for me to hold them as a comparison to my own body. This typically leaves me feeling lacking and angry that I don't have the physical body of these great artists and athletes. I find it difficult to thank God for the quote unquote inadequate body that I've been given. There is still plenty my body can do, but it does not naturally build and retain muscle in the way I see other men capable of achieving, at least certainly not without great effort. This often lends itself well to my own envy, lust, shame, and cynicism. If my back was corded with muscles or my arms filled out my sleeves, maybe I'd feel better about myself and my masculinity. As it is, I usually end up looking at my own body with disgust and find it difficult to share it or believe it is welcome in spaces where other more attractive bodies roam freely. I removed my shirt once 5 years ago at a pool event with male friends, and as you might think, no one ever said anything. However, my own mind was racing, and I haven't worked up the courage to do so again at the beach or any pool situation. I found myself in a corner where I'm grateful for and find beauty in such powerful male beauty, but me as a man won't believe that I am beautiful until I reach a certain BMI, have certain muscle mass, fit in my clothes a specific way, or get rid of that darn back hair. And he put a little smiley face at the end as a little note of levity. I'm starting to get those little, I don't have like a carpet rolled on my shoulders or anything, but I'm starting to get these pesky little hairs that are just like sprouting out of nowhere, the back on my shoulders and everything. And I'm just like, man, I wish that wasn't there. Wish that could be gone.
It's rough. Getting older is rough.
It's not growing on my back because it's all in my ears. There's too much in my ears to be in my back.
Yeah. Hair will find a way. Like life will find a way, hair will find a way. Yeah, so a lot of physical comments there. Moving into just like other traits, I suppose. Someone said this, my biggest weakness is when I see groups of straight men hanging out, laughing, looking like they're having fun together, sends me into a massive FOMO mode. I also feel extremely anxious and ask God, why haven't I been brought into groups of guys like that or accepted or invited by them? I turn to lust to numb those feelings of anxiousness, depression, and sadness over what my life will never be. When I read that comment, I was reminded, Matt, I'm pretty sure you brought it up on a podcast. Or maybe it was I always forget if it's on a podcast recording or if it was just you being a friend and talking about this to me. So if you don't want this on the show, I will gladly cut this out. But I remember once, Matt, you said that when you see like men like playing basketball on a basketball court together, there's like it's not just the athleticism of any individual man, it's like the camaraderie of them doing this thing, this athletic masculine thing together that can maybe set off some things for you. Like I thought about that story when I read this comment about seeing the beauty, but then feeling the longing in that too.
Yeah, to this day, I become a 6th grader. I'm better now, but for years, I became a 6th grader, 12-year-old again, every time I saw guys just playing basketball together because I was not good and I was excluded at that time in my life and I got stuck. Now, I told myself way back then, you're not an athlete. You will never be accepted in that group. And so I just avoided it and envied it. And every time I saw it, and I've worked through that now. And I think that we're all kind of saying that maybe later in life, we're like, you know what? There's a degree to which I may not look like Carlos Alcaraz or Taylor Perez or Dylan Efron, but I can step up and do what I can with what God gave me to try to be as healthy and as active as my body allows me. And I can do the best with what I have and love the people God brings into my life and find that in my own. So now in my own way, I am athletic. I'm terrible at basketball. I'm scared to hold a basketball.
We're gonna get you a basketball for Christmas, Matt. That'll be
nothing makes me more insecure as somebody like passes me a basketball.
Aww.
But in my own
make the
way.
shot.
Oh gosh.
To close it out, similar to a group of friends, someone said this: for many of my moments with unhealthy desire, it's often been towards people in committed relationships, usually straight. There are many components that play into this for me as I've contemplated this tendency, but a couple of main pieces are: one, desiring what I don't have, whether it be parts or the whole of the person. This can be especially connected to traits that I want but don't have: musical talents, physical traits, intellectual capacity. And then two, my experience with gender dysphoria has made it hard at times because I've always longed for marriage. Part of my recent honesty with myself is recognizing that at times I wish I could be a woman so that I could then have what I want and it not be in conflict with my faith and convictions. These two elements have in the past led to a lot of shame, isolation, and unhealthy avoidance. It's taken a lot of introspection and facing myself and God, honestly, to begin to see others as image bearers, deserving of honor and respect that comes out of my relationship with God. Yeah, and I just wanted to say, and I love the honesty and the authenticity in that statement, because I don't experience gender dysphoria, but I've had that thought many times actually, that, gosh, if I were a woman, ... then I could have this like intense connection with a man that other people have, and I don't get to have that level of intensity. So I feel the tension in that.
You know, I think we see beauty and we have this response to beauty, but some of the comments are making me reflect on our longing, not just to like see beauty and not like. And even more than a longing to like be beautiful, to be seen as beautiful, but also this longing to participate in beauty, to participate in the beauty of creation. Like we see the basketball players, you know, and we want to be involved in that. We want to be included in that. We see the guys at the gym who we want to, it's a beautiful sight to see them having this like camaraderie together. And so the being excluded from that stings. And I'm just thinking about like that longing to participate in beauty and how, I don't know, like I want to take some curiosity away from the conversation. Like, where does that come from? And how can that draw me to lean into God more? This, like, I can participate in beauty, I think. And so like, with him and in the world. And so like, how can I really like take that to God and through him and in his community? Like, how can that happen?
Ryan, I think that why this drum that you beat has been so encouraging to so many guys for a few years now is because you're helping them in those moments you're helping me when I'm seeing a bunch of guys play basketball. Instead of me feeling ashamed that I want to participate in that, you're helping me reframe and say, you know what, this is a beautiful thing that God has given these guys, a connection with one another and the ability to take care of their bodies. And it's okay if I want to, participate. And I want to be a part of that. And maybe letting go of that shame and feeling the opportunity to thank God for the beauty allows me the confidence maybe to step into it and say, I'm going to participate. I'm no longer going to be held back by this self-hatred. I'm going to move forward. And as I find opportunity, I want to take care of myself and appreciate the beauty around me.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago for our YOB book club, we read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, a classic novel with an overarching theme surrounding masculine beauty. The story's premise is that the title character, Dorian Gray, grows obsessive over his mortality, namely his youth and beauty. He is painted one day by a man named Basil, and Dorian laments this reality that he will age, while his painting will remain ageless. He makes a wish, essentially, to trade places with the painting. The wish comes true, and he remains ageless, while the painting bears not only the effects of human aging, but also all of Dorian's sins, his corruption, his loss of innocence. There are lessons aplenty to be learned from Dorian's obsession, but I find myself gravitating and learning more from the character of Basil, the painter, the one who aches for Dorian's beauty. Up until meeting Dorian, he is a widely respected and successful painter. And then he meets Dorian, a young man whose beauty strikes him like lightning. A man who isn't just physically handsome, but a man with a masculine presence, a presence that radiates both innocence and light. In Dorian's face, Basil sees the purest expression of beauty that he has ever seen. He paints Dorian again and again, never tiring of this task, this work. Basil's friends soon notice a change in his art, a new vitality, a depth that had previously been missing. And Basil knows the truth that Dorian Gray, this beautiful man, has become his muse, his inspiration, and more than that, his obsession. Dorian brings out the best work in Basil, and yet his adoration for Dorian's masculine beauty is an adoration that frightens him. And so Basil buries all of his feelings toward Dorian beneath layers of reverence, telling himself that he loves Dorian's soul, speaking of his youth, his innocence, as if these are sacred qualities. And yet he knows that the sight of Dorian's face binds him. His final portrait of Dorian Gray is more perfect than anything he's ever made, anything he's ever created, set his hand to. He even confesses to a friend that he put too much of himself into this painting, for it reveals not just Dorian's outer beauty, but Basil's own longings, his obsession, and his shame. The picture of Dorian Gray is more than just a story about one man's corruption and vanity. It's also another story, a tragic one, about another man, about the peril of worshiping beauty, worshiping this masculine beauty. For in a cruel twist of fate, Basil's admiration of Dorian takes him to his greatest artistic pinnacle and also brings him to his ultimate downfall. Even though the more overtly physical or sexual components of my sexuality wouldn't develop until near puberty, I can remember looking back to kindergarten, first grade, those first feelings of being drawn to masculine beauty. The other boys in my class always caught my eyes, their boyish faces, their smiles, their haircuts, their laughter, their energy. Some of it, all of it together, tugged at something deeper in my heart. Throughout elementary school, my heart raced whenever me and the other boys got dismissed from our class to go change for gym. This was long before I ever remotely understood my sexuality. And just changing with these other boys in the bathroom, there was something unspeakably beautiful about what I saw around me. It was fleeting, it was scandalous, it was something I knew I couldn't let my eyes linger for too long. But I soaked in the masculine beauty around me as much as I could, whenever I could. One or two boys in particular took hold of my heart. I thought about them constantly. I wrote about them in my journals. I dreamt about them many nights. I found myself staring at them across the classroom and across the bathroom, the locker room alike. Looking back now, I think I have a little more language for what was happening back then, but I think I was literally just trying to find what I didn't see in myself. I was a boy. I never questioned my gender, but I wasn't like the other boys. I almost felt like I was boy adjacent. I was allowed to go into the same gym class, the same bathroom. All the hobbies, all the interests, all the energies were things that were more and more foreign to me the older I got. Going from adolescence into my younger 20s, to use the gym as a very specific example, I just assumed that that would not be an environment that would be good for me. It was ironic, a little humorous some days, a little tragic other days. When I was in college, one of my first regular jobs was working at the gym behind the cashier's desk, and I would be forced to look directly across from me at the glass windows of the most attractive college men working out right in front of me. I felt like I had to keep turning away. I certainly couldn't enter into that environment, couldn't enter into the locker room of old, couldn't just let my eyes feast. And yet, what was the alternative? The alternative was staying separate, staying disconnected. And that didn't feel right either. Many years later, in my mid-20s, I found myself working at an all-boys camp, working alongside counselors and other staff in their younger 20s. And once again, I was at the crossroads of whether I run away or feast, as if there were no other option. Because there in the heat of a North Carolina summer, I was constantly surrounded at practically every hour of the day. These shirtless, college-aged men. Some of them were some of the most beautiful men I'd ever seen. And something really strange happened as the summer went, because what was very scary, very daunting, very distracting at the start of the summer started morphing into something different as the summer progressed. Week after week, session after session throughout that camp experience, we would wrap our arms around each other, sometimes with shirts on and sometimes with shirts off. We would sing It Is Well to close out every session together. We prayed together, we worshiped Jesus together, and suddenly there was a different kind of beauty. Beyond their pecs and abs and biceps, it was something spiritual, something emotional, something good. Their beautiful masculine bodies gave way to beautiful masculine souls. And that was an environment, an arena that wasn't something I suddenly wanted to run away from anymore. I wanted to stay there forever. I'll never forget that camp, tucked away in the hills of the Blue Ridge. The most beautiful masculinity I'd ever seen in a quarter century swirling in my midst. And it was a beauty I was welcome into, to participate in, to behold and enjoy. That's not to say I didn't lust that summer. I still feel the ache of beauty lost, the ache for finding new beauty. It's like I need to constantly refill my cup. I feel the ache especially hard when I'm searching the far corners of the internet, because I want to do more than just observe beauty. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. I want to take it. I want to control it. I want to make it my own. And in these moments, I feel a lot like Basil, something that was intended to be good, something that is inherently good. Feels as if it could be my ultimate downfall. I deeply resonate with feeling as if that camp and even this community, to a degree, is my Dorian Gray, my inspiration, my muse. And I know if I get to a point where I worship the creation beyond the creator, that I am not where I need to be. And much like many things in life, maybe it isn't one extreme or the other. Maybe it isn't constantly running away from all masculine beauty, and maybe it's not just gorging myself on it either. Maybe there is a lifelong task of living in the middle, participating in masculine beauty, observing it, noticing it, occasionally stumbling around it, and always pointing back to the giver of all good things, the creator of all beautiful things. And so, my brothers, those basking in the beauty of mankind, and also those squinting at the overpowering light, day by day, may we all learn to open our eyes wider and wider to the light of God in one another. All of us, his image bearers, his most prized creation. Whether they are running shirtless down sidewalks, exercising at gyms, working behind cashiers' desks and windows, waiting tables. Whether they are athletes on the world stage or ones in our neighborhoods and basketball courts, let us all direct our acknowledgement of beauty to the Creator. Where we struggle to direct this beauty heavenward, God, give us new eyes, give us new strength, Take our fallenness, our lust, our envy, our shame, and create something new, something beautiful in us as we direct our eyes, our hearts, our souls more and more toward you. Where we feel heaviness, where we feel longing, God, may you give us more, even more still for you. Where we envy other men for the certain lack that we feel we possess, remind us of who we are in you. Help us give thanks for all that you've given us, our bodies, our stories. Wherever we see and feel the weight of darkness and shame, for the complex feelings we have, we think, we feel toward other men, may we see more of your light, a light that doesn't overpower us, a light that doesn't smother us, a light that helps us live more and more into your love for us, for the men around us. And may the world never be the same for the appreciation, for the feelings of gratitude that we may have for our fellow man. May they feel that love, and may God himself direct us. May we more and more see the gift that is in our sexuality, the appreciation for masculine beauty, masculine connection, masculine togetherness, camaraderie, brotherhood. Let us not lose sight of those things, those gifts that we've been given. And wherever we can step out, wherever we can enter into that beauty, despite the fears, despite the trepidations, despite the distractions and the occasional temptations, God, meet us there. Make us more and more like you. Make us more and more beautiful.
And maybe sometimes the answer is to let go of this shame and take the opportunity, grab the basketball, and start shooting hoops.
Well, let's not take it that far.
Or maybe sometimes the answer could be to recognize that not all beauty is for us. It's not, the Grand Canyon was not made for me, but that doesn't mean I can't stand on the rim and really drink it in. And so I'm just never going to be a great musician. And so participating in that beauty of being this man who's rugged and strong, but also tender and singing, I'm just not going to be participating in that beauty. And that's fine. I think that takes I want to be sort of this, I want to have that humble maturity to say that I can just let that not be about me,
Mm-hmm. Except for Dylan Efron. Need to find a way to meet him. He needs to be for us.
One day.
I loved, hope you did that whole analysis at the end of maybe this is an invitation to let go of shame. And
yeah, it's so funny to me because when I brought up the basketball court, I have this memory of one of the first YOB retreats. You were not there at this one, sadly, but our first location, we had a basketball court, and for a lot of guys, we would get in a big circle on the basketball court because that was the place we could go outside that had space to get in a big circle, and it brought up feelings for people to be standing on a basketball court. We were not about to split into shirts and skins or anything, or even have a basketball. We were literally standing on the basketball court in a circle, holding hands. It was the most masculine thing that we could do in that setting. But I love the idea of going into settings yeah, you could leave the basketball court or that image of guys on a basketball court or the gym or the locker room or whatever these are masculine arenas, quote unquote, are. And you could just stay away from them forever. That is something you could do. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong for certain people, certain situations, but the flip side of that is, what would it look like to enter into those arenas, despite the discomfort or potentially the occasional distraction or lust or envy? What would it look like to give yourself permission to be there and participate in that? Whether it's if you want to be on a basketball team, what if you were to just find an informal rec league or something and do it and be a part of it? It's is that something you actually want, or is it something you wish you wanted? I don't know. I think that those are things that I would love our community members, and myself included, and I'll throw myself in the ring too, of figuring out what do I actually want? Do I want it? Because if I do, then I could probably get it. Like there's a gym I could join and I have, and there's locker rooms I could go to and I do. And there's showers in there that I could use and I do. And it's just like figuring out where's the line? Where's the line between this is helpful and good for me versus where am I not seeing the return on investment if it's just like too distracting or too limiting maybe. So that's for everyone to decide for themselves. But what about you, dear listener? Tell us a story. What do you find beautiful about men? And what's hard about what you find beautiful in men? Tell us a story or two. Go to yourotherbrothers.org. Go to the podcast episode page for episode 109 on masculine beauty. And we would love to hear from you. Or if you feel so inclined, call the YOFline that I shared earlier. And just tell us your calling about this episode of the YOBcast. And if you have a story to share, we would love to play some voicemails again on future episodes. That would be really fun. This has been really fun, Ryan and Matt. Thank you for taking the time, for being here. Also, shout out to Daniel, who made an appearance on this episode. We love you, Daniel. Wasn't that so fun when I brought this, it was just basically, this is what I did now that I realize it. It's all coming full circle. I basically recreated the Forrest Frank, Corey Asbury situation by bringing these two brothers who were at enmity with one another. Someone saying the other one doesn't deserve to be here anymore. Publicly. And we healed the bond.
Nonetheless.
Isn't that beautiful?
It was perfect.
Yes. Thank you, Matt, for being a good sport, and for Daniel also for coming on. And shout out again to David, the David, for setting the standard for masculine beauty for over 500 years. What a legacy. Someday I'm going to see that thing in person. What a fun thing that would be.
An appreciation.
And just stare.
Wholesome appreciation.
All right. Well, this has been another YOBcast. We are blazing a trail. Next time I'll see you, Matthew, not you, Ryan, sadly, but you, Matthew, will be at the next YOB retreat. Maybe on our next episode, we can talk about some favorite moments. That would be fun.
From PA. Yep. Looking forward to it.
Good old Pennsylvania. First YOB retreat in Pennsylvania, my homeland. So I'm excited to be back in the Keystone State. And we'll see a bunch of you YOBers who are listening there as well. So until we journey next time we're going to talk about something faith related, I think. So we'll see. We've been heavy on the God stuff or the gay stuff, guy stuff lately. So we'll throw in some God stuff next time and bring some equilibrium. But yeah, it's been so fun to get back in the saddle again with these guys and to have the feedback from all of you. Keep the feedback coming. It's awesome to hear what you guys are thinking about this episode. So for all your other brothers out there, this is Tom.
And this is Ryan.
And this is Matt.
Reminding you that you are not alone. Even the sparrow finds a home. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Beautiful men, you.
Thanks for listening to Your Other Brothers podcast, a production of Your Other Family. We'd love your feedback. Comment on this or any of our podcast episodes at yourotherbrothers.org. You can also call us to ask a question or share a brief story at 1-706-389-8009. If you enjoyed this or any of the shows on Your Other Family Podcast Network, consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also follow our family of socials on Facebook and Instagram at Your Other Fam, Your Other Bros, and Your Other Sisters, and on YouTube at Your Other Fam. Finally, if you enjoy our content, consider giving to support our nonprofit ministry. Check out our YOF giving link in the episode description. For membership in our YOB and YOS communities, submit an inquiry at yourotherbrothers.org/membership or yourothersisters.org/membership. There's always room for one more sparrow in our nest. Until we journey next time, we're glad you're with us.
Your Other Family.